Demonstration in Ambalipitia claiming that a father of one was killed in a police attack. IGP orders for a special investigation.
Sri Lanka to be a competitive economy in the Indian Ocean. A statement from the Prime Minister.
Court of Appeal informed that President Sirisena likely to pardon individual convicted of an attempt on his life.
Local government elections before June. Announcement from the subject minister.
Bring you the latest stories from here at home and across the world. This is Prime Time News. A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bangzo.
I'm Saturang Hapuarachi. Here's a look at the trending story of tonight. The Sri Lanka Economic Forum 2016 began in Colombo with the aim of formulating a policy for long-term economic growth.
The forum theme steering Sri Lanka towards sustainable and inclusive development began under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The two-day forum, graced by business magnates George Soros and Nobel laureate economist Professor Joseph Stiglitz, is set to discuss key findings of a preliminary study on Sri Lanka, carried out by the Harvard University Center for International Development. Ricardo Hausman, director of Harvard Center for International Development, said declining exports and external debt, low government revenue, structural transformation, low urbanization and regional growth were key challenges facing Sri Lanka's economy.
Addressing a packed gathering, Prime Minister spoke of his ambition of making Sri Lanka the most competitive economy in the Indian Ocean region.
We have to first get through the vulnerabilities of the global economy and the imbalances of our fiscal system. Those are the immediate struggles we have in this sea. One of the three that we meet at the moment, and what concerns us, is how the Chinese economy will stabilize itself in the coming year, what happens in the Middle East, and what on earth will the voters of the United Kingdom do when it comes to the referendum. Those three will, I think, are the immediate problems we have to face. But that doesn't mean that we have to take a step back. We have to go forward. We have to ensure how do we become the most competitive economy in the Indian Ocean as a high-income East Asian nation, not in terms of a low-income economy of Africa or South Asia. And last of all, our efforts at creating a global city for the region. There is no major metropolis or a megapolis between Singapore and Dubai. It's all empty. And the middle of the ocean, which till the 18th century was the most prosperous ocean in the world, which still will be long after us, but nevertheless. So how do we plan now?
He further said that the government has now embarked on delivering wide-scale economic reforms needed to fast-track the economy.
What we've done in the last year is to focus on our political priorities. And day after tomorrow, when the Parliament decides to sit at a constitutional assembly to abolish the executive presidency, then President Maithripala Sirisena has fulfilled his mandate within 365 days. The political part is over. Now the more difficult one, of delivering on economic and social reform.
Member of the European Parliament Niranjan Deva Aditya, addressing the gathering, said Sri Lanka has the potential to reach economic prosperity as Singapore.
With 714 square kilometers, covers barely a 100th of our landmass. Singapore, where every citizen earns an average of $83,000 a year, compared to here a little over $10,000 a year. Do you know the difference, Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, between Sri Lanka and Singapore? They have none of our inbuilt advantages. What does Singapore have that we do not? They have developed an education system that is second to none, teaching people things that are relevant to the 21st century. Can we be the new Singapore?
Going by the inaugural session, it seems like the forum has set the stage for in-depth analysis and discussion on the policies needed to propel Sri Lanka's economy forward.
The establishment of the Special Presidential Task Force for the Protection of Children took place this morning under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. The President's Media Division said that the Task Force for the Protection of Children was established based on the promise made by President Sirisena.
The President had called for a better coordination among the institutions that work on child protection to ensure that child protection in the country is further strengthened. Measures that have been taken to resolve issues surrounding child protection and the steps taken for the development of child protection were discussed at the event. The President's Media Division said that attention was also drawn towards the restructuring of the legal framework with regard to child nutrition and health. President Sirisena had also instructed to introduce a new program that would further strengthen the programs that have been undertaken for child security.
It was revealed in the Court of Appeal today that President Maithripala Sirisena is likely to grant presidential pardon to an individual who was convicted of his assassination attempt.
Sivaraja Jenigan was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment and a fine of 10,000 rupees by the High Court.
The appeal filed by the convict against 10-year prison sentence and the 10,000 rupee fine was taken up at the appeals court today. The appeal was taken up before the bench of President of the Court of Appeal Vijit Malalgoda and Justice Devika Livera Dithenakon. Attorney-at-law U.R. De Silva, appearing on behalf of the defendant, informed court that as he was informed that the President is likely to pardon his client, he will withdraw the appeal. The accused is charged with attempting to assassinate the President with two others in Polonnaruwa and areas nearby, and he was found guilty of those charges by the High Court. Appearing on behalf of the state, Deputy Solicitor General A.H.N. Nawawi said that he has no objection to the defence withdrawing the appeal.
Have we forgotten?
Do you recall that incident? 27 inmates lost their lives in the shooting that took place at the Valikoda prison back in 2012.
A promise was made to the people that those accountable will be brought before the law. However, it's been 3 years, 1 month and 29 days since the incident and no action has been taken.
Have we forgotten?
On the 9th of November 2012, tensions flared at the Valikoda prison when personnel of the Police Special Task Force commenced a search of the prison premises. 27 inmates were killed and a number of officers, including Deputy Inspector General R.M.C. Ranavana, the commanding officer of the elite police force, was seriously wounded in a gun battle. A 3-member committee, inclusive of a retired High Court judge, was appointed to study the incident through various avenues and compile a report which classifies the reasons for the shooting. The report, which was said to be formulated in 3 weeks, was handed over to the subject minister 10 months and 5 weeks after the incident. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka also presented a report. An inmate who experienced the 2012 incident broke his silence on the 27th of January last year and provided important evidence to the authorities.
The security forces stormed into the prison bearing firearms even when the prison guards told them not to. A person in civil attire entered with the anti-vice officer. They selected persons in a list that he had and shot them.
The People's Collective Against the Slaying of Valikoda Inmates demonstrated opposite the prison premises on the 17th of February 2015, citing that the law was not enacted.
Armed government forces broke into the prison and murdered 27 unarmed prisoners. 20 others were injured. We cannot be satisfied with the investigations that have been carried out. We need to appoint a new panel that will conduct an independent investigation. It has been 3 weeks since we appointed the committee and they have commenced operations. We promise to conduct a 100% impartial and transparent investigation. The government cannot simply appoint committees and evade from this. The government is responsible to prevent any such acts from taking place in the future.
The fundamental rights of the prisoners have been violated. This has been clearly mentioned in the reports. However, legal action has not been taken on the perpetrators, nor has justice been meted out to the victims. Compensation has not been given. What needs to be done is not send the reports to decay, but to bring the perpetrators before the law and take action. That is the need of the era.
Have we forgotten?
Unafraid of change. Humane leadership. My political venture began among the farming community, their sufferings, blood and tears. There's a national campaign against cigarettes and alcohol. Eventually the people elected me as the president of the country. With this new political culture, we will show the people, the country and the world that we are truly patriots that love the country. They are attempting to crush me. I wish to tell those persons that I am not the one being crushed. It is the culture of the country that gets crushed. I say this to those who are attempting to destroy me. What you are trying to destroy is our culture and heritage. It can be noted that we have been accepted internationally as an honest friend to all nations. I would never compromise the national security of the country under any circumstance. Persons who are defeated only think of overthrowing the newly elected government or the leader of the government. Those who say that this government will collapse, and to those who think so, I can only show them compassion. I do not like the system where the UMP and the SLFP clashes. This needs to change. This disgraceful political culture needs to change. No matter what people say, in the next 5 years, our government will be a strong and stable government. No one can weaken it and no one can change it. If there is anyone in the government who is involved in fraud and corruption, I am ready to take any decision needed to remove them for the sake of protecting the integrity of the government. I personally believe that all of the President's powers must be transferred to Parliament. If a politician is found to be involved in illegal drug peddling, the government will take all legal action, casting aside party affiliations and positions. Come the year 2020, the budget will be prepared without the revenue generated by taverns, and this is the development goal that we have. If one commits wrong, I do not care if they are from the UMP or the SLFP or any other party. We cannot allow for environmental destruction. I assure you that, like the commitment I made on the 8th of January, I will dedicate my life to build our motherland, Sri Lanka, as a glorious nation.
Lanka භූමිතද ප්‍රෞಢවන් එය බාර ගන්න ඔහු ශක්තිමත් මෛත්‍රී නිර්භය සිතුවිලි තේජවත් අද කරුණා ගුණ දම් වර්ණවත් මෛත්‍රී
Unafraid of change. Humane leadership.
A youth who was receiving treatment for serious injuries sustained after falling from the top floor of a building during a clash in Amblipitia on early Tuesday morning succumbed to his injuries today.
Locals in the area who were outraged by the death of the youth protested against the police by closing down all shops in the Amblipitia town today.
While all the shops in the Amblipitia town remained closed this morning, locals demonstrated by hoisting black flags. The demonstrators marched to the Amblipitia town and obstructed the Amblipitia-Colombo main road. The police special task force had also been dispatched to maintain security in the area. This is what transpired when Minister Thalathathu Korila arrived at the location in an attempt to ease the situation. The clash which led to the death of the youth broke out during a party at a residence in Ambelipitia. The incident also left 4 police officers and 3 other civilians injured. Relatives of the victim say that the police should be held responsible for his death. He was taken to hospital by the police. The clash had erupted after the police had asked for liquor. 2 hours after he was taken, he was found dumped close to the police, not the hospital. He was admitted to the hospital in his underwear. He had no shirt or trousers. Doctors at the Ratnapura hospital in their report said that there were lacerations on his body.
If the police are reporting to a scene, they must come in uniform. We have information to prove that they were directly involved in this murder as they came in civil clothing with clubs in hand. It was an assistant superintendent of police and an HQI.
The victim has been identified as 29-year-old Sumit Prasanna, a father of 1. His wife is currently pregnant. Why are they doing this? Are we not people too? The wife is pregnant and there is another child in grade 3. He used to hire vehicles and work as a day labourer. While rejecting these claims, the police said that the clash broke out when the police had intervened to control a tense situation.
The ASP had received a phone call saying that there is a loud noise being reported from a party at the said area and that the neighbours were severely inconvenienced. Then the Ambelipitia police were informed to immediately report to the location and look into the matter. After reporting to the location, the police officers had advised a few persons at the party to reduce the noise and had later returned to follow up on the situation. Then at 12:10 midnight on the 5th, the Ambelipitia police station received another phone call that there is a clash in that area. The 119 hotline had also received 2 phone calls. 4 police officers responded to the scene, following which the group there had dragged the 4 police officers to the top floors of the buildings and assaulted them. These police officers had firearms, but they did not use them. An assaulted police officer ran to the police station, which is 600 meters away from the location, to inform the station of the situation. The uniform of that police officer had been ripped apart. Thereafter, the Ambelipitia HQI and police inspector went to the location along with another group of police officers. At that instance, the police inspector was also attacked with bottles. When the officers had tried to arrest those who were behaving in an unruly manner, an individual had broken 2 windows and jumped off the 3rd floor of that building. An investigation will be conducted into the incident under the supervision of the Ratnapura Superintendent of Police.
21 police officers of the Ambelipitia Police, including its HQI, have been transferred. Police media spokesperson ASP Ron Gunasekara said that they were transferred on a temporary basis as an investigation into the death of the youth is underway. The transfers have been made to the Sitawaka and Kegol police divisions.
Ceylon local news, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa paid homage to the temple of the sacred tooth relic today.
Subsequent to paying homage to the sacred tooth relic in Kandy this morning, the former president obtained the blessings of the 4 main devalas at the premises of the temple. As of late, they are questioning me about all the electrical items in my kitchen and about what is in my bathroom. They are just counting them. They are asking a series of questions about everything I ate and drank since 2005. I think they might take at least a year to find everything. They can arrest all they want. It is their government of good governance.
ඔබතුමාගේ මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා මේ දුරේ අවශ්‍යලත් අවුරුද්දක් වෙනවා. ඔබතුමා මේ රටට මේ ජනතාවට මේ අවුරුද්ද තුල වෙච්ච විපර්යාසය මේ ප්‍රගතිය
I think you should ask that from the incumbent president. I lost on the 8th of January last year, so I want to congratulate Maithripala Sirisena for his victory on that day. But I cannot be all that happy about the good governance. Well, that has always been the case, hasn't it?
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, former commander of the Sri Lankan Navy Admiral Somatilaka Dissanayake and several others were summoned today to the Presidential Commission appointed to investigate serious acts of fraud and corruption.
Secretary to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, Lassel de Silva, said that Gotabaya Rajapaksa was summoned today as a notified party with regard to the investigations taking place over Ratna, Sri Lanka.
This is what happened for a year. Visits to the CID and the FCID, and then we were brought here to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry for a period of 1 year. They're investigating large-scale fraud and corruption. Corruption means earning excess amount of money. If I had committed corruption, it would not even take a year to figure it out. They summon us to these institutions because of political revenge. I can say this without any fear. I have not earned a single cent in an illegal manner. I have not purchased property or built houses. I can say without any fear that I have rendered a great service. No matter what others say, I can prove my claims. If not for me, the war will still be on. I took the correct decisions to end this war. Afterward, the people are aware of the changes that we carried out through the Urban Development Authority within a short period of 4 years. Colombo was transformed into one of the developed cities in the world. However, the plaque is with the current ministers. Although my brother was the president and the other brothers were ministers, I carried out my service as a public servant. For over 20 years, I served under the government of the United National Party. Persons involved in theft have found state witnesses. When you mention the Rajapaksa name, they become a state witness. They are the ones who committed theft.
Journalists also questioned the former defense secretary on the abductions that took place.
The youth might not be aware of what we call the Goni Billo. What vehicles did they use? Did they travel in white or black vehicles? These are false allegations. I have not abducted anyone in an illegal manner. This is a mudslinging campaign.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Rajitha Ratna assured the media that there was no interference whatsoever in the investigations into the murder of rugby player Wasim Tajdeen. He made these comments at the Cabinet media briefing today.
Is it wrong if he was involved in something like that, because it is not the duty of the Attorney General's Department? Public servants attached to the Attorney General's Department are state lawyers. They represent the state in court. They cannot do the task of judges. They don't have any other power or authority. They have allegations over his involvement. They haven't got a case also. If there is any truth in this incident, we urge the President to take action immediately.
Journalists also inquired about the status of CCTV footage related to Wasim Tajdeen's murder. They questioned Minister Sena Ratna if the footage he claimed to have seen were the same as the ones handed over to the Colombo University.
Can't say what they have sent or what they have seen. There are many issues regarding these people, especially the dealings they had with the Rajapaksa regime. We are aware of those. I know the stance of the President and the Prime Minister. They strongly believe that these matters should go through the legal and judicial process. Whatever that comes to light needs to come to light through the judicial process. We don't interfere in investigations but simply allow the judicial process to take its course. It won't be swept under the rug. Still there are elements that are trying to be kept under wraps. We said that the state is still theirs, but we will not allow it as long as we are there.
Meanwhile, a statement by Jaffna District UNP organizer over an attempt on the life of the President gave rise to a debate.
This statement was made by Thiagaraja Thuarikeshwaran. This statement said that there was an attempt on the life of the President on December 20th. Last evening, the IGP officially requested the senior DIG in charge of the CID to investigate this matter.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faiza Mustafa, speaking at a media briefing in Colombo, commented on the local government elections.
During the presidential election, the President and the Prime Minister made a promise that the existing electoral system and the corrupt preferential vote system will be abolished. However, a mixed system was introduced for local government institutions in 2012. If we cannot have the election under this system, it will be acting against the public mandate. That is my view. We have received over 1,000 appeals with regard to the demarcation process. We have received many from the north. We hope to conduct the local government elections before June.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඡන්දය තියන්න තමයි අපේ බලාපොරොත්තුව.
In more local news, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Norway, Borge Brend, arrived in the island on a one-day official visit at the invitation of Minister of Foreign Affairs Mangala Samaravira. This is the first visit by a Norwegian foreign minister to Sri Lanka in 11 years.
The Norwegian foreign minister was officially received by his Sri Lankan counterpart at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs this morning. Thereafter, Foreign Minister Borge Brend signed a commemorative book at the ministry. The two ministers thereafter held closed-door discussions on extending Norway's aid assistance in key areas of Sri Lanka's future development.
The amount of foreign visitors to Sri Lanka the last year has shown that the international community would like to form strong partnerships with your government, moving forward on the development of Sri Lanka. We are ready to form important partnerships, and we also have announced that we would like to take up on this invitation to support in the assessment of the fish stocks with our research vessel. It is very important, as the Foreign Minister underlined, that the multiculturalism and the multiculture of this country is the strength of the country, and the reconciliation process that the government has started is something that we support very much.
You're coming to Sri Lanka at a time when Sri Lanka is trying to come to terms with its past and to forge ahead. The domestic mechanisms through which we are trying to address this past are in the process of being developed, and the consultation process to design these mechanisms will begin next week.
The annual general meeting of the Sri Lanka Sports Medicine Association was held in Colombo last evening.
Dr. Harinda Vijayasinghe, a consultant in rheumatology, rehabilitation and sports medicine, was reappointed as the association's president. Consultant in rheumatology and sports medicine in Sydney, Australia, Professor Siri Kannangara graced the occasion.
I must tell you, in sports medicine, there is no money. There is no money. If you wanted money, leave this place and go and do something else. Right? Try politics, actually. So you do it because you either love of sport or love of medicine or love of both. Every team doctor have to be involved in doping control. Now there's a poor Sri Lankan kid who got caught with anabolic steroids, right? Now who takes the responsibility? The president of the country. No, it has to be the team doctor, and if it's a shame that Sri Lanka doesn't have a team doctor, right? If not team doctor, then people who look after them, the other staff. You guys at every level, please get involved and find out what's available, what's not, and communicate with your players. And it should happen at school level. Now this darn good cricketer, we have lost him for 4 years.
Sri Lanka Cricket announced that SLC President Thilanga Sumatipala has also taken over the top position in the Asian Cricket Council meeting held in Dubai today.
He has also served as the president of the ACC during the years 1997 to 1998.
Well, with that, we conclude today's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bongza.
I'm Saturang Hapuarachi. Take care and good night.